Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to Explorer. If you are joining for the first time, we appreciate your time as always. The United States of America is using its power, I would say is abusing its position as the #1 economy in the world. The US continue to threaten countries in the global south, especially those countries in the BRICS nations that have refused to succumb to the United States of America's intimidating tactics in terms of global trade. It is important to know that the continent of African nations are observing their relationship very closely with the United States of America, and the relationship is not sitting well. One country keeps coming into the play, the country of South Africa. Irrespective of your position with regards to this African country, they have made it to the point where they have told the United States of America over and over on where it stands on global issues with regards to trade. The US again has currently imposed the country of South Africa a 30% tariff that will come into effect on the 1st of August. It's important to know that the country of South Africa, to an extent, is now a very soft target for the United States of America, especially to the Trump administration. I know each time we talk about this here, our channel will be squeezed, our things will be pulled back and forth in regards to how our viewers observe our video. But listen, I have a very important video here to play, folks. I have Dr. Oscar Van Hollen, someone who have an international exposure. He knows the in and out of the United States of America's administration's own behavior. He has, based on his own outing, advised the country of South Africa that the United States of America is not an honest broker. The US speak on both sides of its mouth, and more importantly, the United States can no longer give its words to the continent of Africa, especially South Africa. It is important to know that in the geopolitical environment, which is what we do on this channel, the United States does not have the leverage to basically conduct business on the global stage with regards to giving its words to its partners, as we've seen in the tariffs area. Africa, you got to wake up, because the United States of America is not what it used to be. The geopolitical environment has changed, and the continent of Africa must choose its partners carefully on how they navigate the Milky Way. How is it possible that countries across the global south, talking about BRICS nations, that will agree with regards to the resolutions, talking about the trade aspect, looking at the event that just took place in the country of Brazil, that the United States of America is threatening them that they would increase 10% based on their international interaction? Then I think there is a problem. Without any further delay, you know how we do it here. We don't hold you hostage. We don't waste your time. Let's play the clips thanks to Newzsroom Afrika on how the professor went details to look at the specifics with regards to this particular relationship between South Africa and the country of the United States of America. Where do we start? Let's start with what the professor said with regards to why the United States of America is not an honest broker. Let's play the clip.
Yeah, and now we're currently showing on the screen a letter that was addressed to the president of the country from Donald Trump around the 30% tariff hike that will kick in on the 1st of August. And yesterday, once again, the president was asked about this. I just quickly want to play the clip from what President Cyril Ramaphosa had to say in response to this, and let's hear what your take is on it.
When we went to the White House, we started a process of engagement. And that process continues. The Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition continues to engage with his counterpart in the United States. And I am hopeful that we will be able to reach an understanding. We've made a clear proposal and offer to them, and they are examining that, and they will come back to us. Whether they are able to do so before Wednesday or soon after Wednesday, we will see. But everything is negotiable. And even timelines that are set are often either negotiable or stretched. So we are hoping for the very best when it comes to that.
Well, the president there is saying and still confident that everything is still negotiable. But here is this letter that has now come from Donald Trump around the imposing of this 30% tariff hike. The presidency in their statement also saying that there is still space for negotiation. What should we then read into this? What should the exporters from South Africa who export to the United States. What should their planning be right now?
You know, Alden, the truth of the matter is that the president, understandably so, and his team, Minister Parks Tau and others, Steenhuisen and the likes, they want to keep the door of diplomacy open. But the mistake that they're making, in my opinion, is that they think that they are negotiating with an honest broker, and they are not. The United States is not an honest broker. They have a plan. The plan started with disruption, first and foremost, spreading lies, telling untruths, putting South Africa on the back foot, so that by the time we met with the Trump administration in the Oval Office, we saw theatrics, turn down the lights, play the movie, all theatrics to try and disrupt and to put South Africa on the back foot. And then, as the president says, ultimatums and dates were given. They gave the impression that they are open to negotiations. Indeed, the South Africans put a proposal on the table, and then we get this disingenuous intervention, with the 30% tariff by 1st August. And we see a pattern here from the Trump administration in other matters as well, in global affairs, where he says he's going to take 2 weeks to think about a particular situation in Iran, only to find out that actually he knew that within 2 days they are going to attack Iran. So you're not dealing with an honest broker here. And I think the sooner the South African government accepts this, they are in the firing line.
The United States of America has used the trade tariff as a tool to push countries back and forth, as we've seen across the continent of Africa, and its engagement with the country of China and a whole lot of other countries who are cutting deals behind. But it's important to know that, according to Professor Van Hollen, who said in this case that the continent of African countries, especially South Africa, should not, to an extent, engage the country of the United States of America as an honest broker in terms of tariffs, because the US say one thing today and in the evening it says something else and tomorrow something else. These are amazing times across the region. Well, let's go back to what the professor said with regards to why the United States of America continues using tariffs as a tool, because if your relationship is not good with the US, you may have a high tariff. Let's play this clip.
As well, right at the end of this letter, the president of the US states that these tariffs may be modified upward or downward depending on our relationship with your country. So the United States relationship with South Africa, and how do we characterize that relationship currently, considering what you've said now as well, that the attacks on the country are coordinated?
And that sentence is code for unless you agree to all our terms. You see, the alternative, and I really want to talk to the viewers and to business South Africa, who constantly say we must be on the good side of America. The truth of the matter is America wants us to sell our sovereignty. We have to sell our sovereignty to the highest bidder or to the biggest bully, which is in this case the United States. And it might be that you think that United States is this example of democracy and Western values.
Bastion of democracy.
Bastion of democracy, exactly. But tomorrow we might find ourselves being in an alliance with a country that illegally bombs other countries, that illegally overthrows governments, that illegally attacks other groups and so on and so forth. And that's not the kind of ally that we want to be associated with in the globe. So I think South Africa needs to think very hard and that there is a simple approach to this matter. Unfortunately, we have been put in this position where, one, we will obviously encourage the Ramaphosa administration to do all they can, but the very little room, even the envoy in terms of Jonas has already been snubbed by the United States. They are not interested in intervention and genuine talks and engagement, but we will have to continue to do so because that's what the diplomacy requires. And secondly, we will have to urgently look at alternative markets, look at BRICS countries that can offset that consequence.
Yeah. According to Professor Van Hollen, the United States of America has seen South Africa as a tool. South Africa has become a target amongst the BRICS countries. If you look at the relationship between the country of China and the United States of America, how South Africa has become a tool in between this particular back and forth. And if you remember Simon Town, how the United States of America ambassador wrongfully accused the country of South Africa and even went ahead to bet his own life on what he said, that the country of South Africa is exporting weapons to the country of Russia. This was something which I think the global community saw that to an extent that the United States of America is taking its nose in regards to the country of South Africa. So now Marco Rubio, the current United States of America Secretary of State, came out and said South Africa is doing some bad things, and the leader of the country as well said that South Africa is doing some bad things. We saw what it was at the United States of America when the show that was shown all over the world in Washington, and the United States of America attempt to embarrass the leader of the South African government, but he stood its grounds. According to Mr. Van Hollen, this is not one-off, and the country of South Africa should play smart. Let's play this clip.
I repeat, Alden, we are the junior partner of BRICS, an easy target. And this is what they are doing. Marco Rubio, Hegseth, and others have targeted South Africa. They want to make an example of South Africa. We see that there is a coordinated attack on South Africa. We see now that there's also a proposed bill that's coming from Florida that is proposing sanctions against South Africa, against direct aid, and against certain individuals within the polity of South Africa. So the sooner the Ramaphosa government realizes that there's a multi-pronged attack on South Africa, the better they can come up with plans to respond to it.
It is important to know that each time BRICS countries meet, it sends shockwaves across the United States of America. If you look at the geopolitical engagement on how the global South nations that are rallying behind BRICS are trying to build their own systems and open new projects, infrastructure, healthcare, and more importantly looking at security and trade, which is important at this era that we all are. And each time these countries come together, the United States of America basically gets worried and very concerned. This has been a phenomenon with regards to how the United States of America perceives BRICS. However, BRICS, according to experts, is a winning organization and it's not going anywhere soon, despite how the United States of America sees it. More importantly, experts say that it's the US that used the dollar to weaponize regards to international trade. And this is a big concern in regards to how countries perceive the United States of America's position in regards to BRICS countries. Mr. Van Hollen saw it this way. Let's play this clip.
And as a result, those BRICS countries also have the possibility of a 10% additional to the 30% being imposed. The president of Brazil yesterday saying, Lula da Silva, I don't think it's very responsible or serious for the president of a country as big as the United States to go around threatening the world through the internet. It's not right. The world has changed. We don't want an emperor. But with that said as well, can the BRICS countries set up a trade forum that excludes the United States, considering how powerful the United States is even within the World Trade Organization?
I think we should forget about the notion of going into global trade without the number one economy in the world. It's a strong economy. Trump knows this. It cannot be ignored. But what Trump has put into motion is a move away from trade with the most advanced economy in the world. I often say it is not the global South that has decided to weaponize the US dollar. It is the United States. It is the United States that weaponized trade by threatening tariffs and sanctions. Now, when you are threatened and when these things are weaponized against you, you have to put in place alternatives. We see, for example, that foreign assets from Russia, Venezuela, and others are frozen because the Americans and the Europeans are in charge of the financial banking system. Now, when you see that, you have to be an idiot not to want to put in place alternatives so that that cannot happen to you, so that you cannot be held ransom with your frozen assets and so forth. So the Global South and BRICS are responding to a situation that has been foisted upon them. And I do think it's not going to be immediate, Alton, but obviously BRICS countries are going to begin to talk to each other and continue the conversation of moving away from the US dollar and moving away from weaponized trade.
Let me know in the comment section what you think regards to the United States of America's attitude towards South Africa, why South Africa has become an easy target for the United States of America, and if South Africa can be pushed back and forth regards to the Trump administration. However, it's not just the Trump administration. During the Biden administration, we saw how geopolitics took a different turn on how senators in the United States of America came up with resolutions over resolutions to punish the country of South Africa. I think this intimidation tactics in the geopolitical environment is not yielding fruit as regards to how the country of South Africa engages the country of Russia and, more importantly, the country of China and other countries around the world. This relationship is not going to be anytime soon. I think that this particular back and forth with regard to South Africa and the country of the United States of America is not a one-off. And according to the professor and the expert, that South Africa should know that it's not dealing with an honest broker in all aspects. According to his own perspective, that the government of the country of South Africa should again engage in diplomacy. However, they should be careful on the reason why the United States cannot be trusted when it comes to talking about international relations.
Yeah. Finally, on South Africa, again, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, expires on the 30th of September 2025. For South Africa, considering that letter again from Donald Trump, what do you see happen beyond that?
AGOA is already dead. I think the sooner industry accepts it, the better. It's not going to be renewed. It's dead in the water. As he states in the letter, they don't want long-term trade agreements anymore. They want short terms, quick fixes. He wants to have immediate gratification. And the threat is that you do it our way or the highway. And so the ball is now within the Ramaphosa court. Obviously, we want to try and defend and protect South African industry, the citrus, the automobile sector, the wine and agriculture sector. But when you are dealing with a belligerent partner who only wants to bully, then you need to look at other partners very fast.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Oscar van Heerden there from the Center of African Diplomacy and Leadership at the University of Johannesburg.
I want to thank you for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you think. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.